Welcome, fellow Toastmasters. Here we are at our regular Tuesday meeting of Golden Speakers. We meet every Tuesday at 7:40 to 9 o'clock. We're meeting in the Fairfield Business Park in the second floor conference room. And if you're watching this at home, the number to call for information is at the end, but it's 641-919-0913. We're going to go ahead and get started with our meeting. The first thing I'm going to do, or maybe the last thing I'm going to do before I introduce the Toastmaster, is ask everybody to put their phone on silent or turn it off.
Mr. President, I'm going to leave mine on because they're going to need to get back in.
Yes, you always get to leave yours on.
Okay.
But I won't
On the
announce it.
doorbell.
I won't announce it every week.
Okay.
I will go ahead and read the mission of the Toastmasters Club. I'll do that before I surrender the lectern. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self-confidence and personal growth. Let's hear it for the mission. Now let's hear it for tonight's Toastmaster, who will take over from this point. It's Aaron Russell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. Our meeting theme for tonight is challenging yourself, which I think is an excellent theme and something that we should always try to do every single day. That being said, our quote for tonight from Roy T. Bennett is, "Every challenge you face today makes you stronger tomorrow. The challenge of life is intended to make you better, not bitter." I think we could all take that one to heart in some kind of way. So let's get started with our role players for tonight. First, we have our timer, which is Miss Jean Symington Craig.
Actually,
I'm going to substitute for her.
Oh, never mind. It's her husband, Dan Craig.
it's almost as good.
My role as timer tonight is to keep track of the length of everyone's talk when they stand up. We have one prepared speech tonight. It's an icebreaker, so it's 4 to 6 minutes. There'll be a green light at 4, a yellow light at 5, a red light at 6, and there's a 30-second grace period at the end. Our table topics will be 1 to 2 minutes. There's a green light at 1 minute, a yellow light at 1.5 minutes, a red light at 2, and again a 30-second grace. Our evaluators have 2 to 3 minutes. It's green at 2, yellow 2.5, red is 3. I'll keep track and give a report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. Next, we have our grammarian, who for tonight is Hudaifa.
Good evening. As a grammarian, I have 2 roles. The first one is to give the word of the day, which is sigillus. It means involving or accomplish with careful perseverance. Okay. Anyway, so an example, the success of this very useful scheme was due chiefly of his sigillus interest and help. Try to use it and challenge yourself. Another part of my role is to catch good usage or bad usage of the English language, and I will give a report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Hudaifa. Next, we'll hear from our ah counter, who I'm not sure who our ah counter is tonight.
It was going to be David.
Yeah, he wasn't down there.
Is anybody
I
else?
can check that out.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Can you will
Can you show? Thank Thank you for stepping up, Jyoti.
As our counter, my role is to keep track of the filler words the speaker may use, like like, but, so, and, tongue click, or Xerox if somebody repeats the same word or sentence again, and false start. And at the end of the meeting, I'll give the report on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jyoti. Our general evaluator for tonight is Veda. We will hear from him at the end of the meeting. And we will also, I'm not sure who our joke master is tonight. That will be Dan Craig, and so we will also hear from him at the end of our meeting. So next we have our speech from Jyoti. His evaluator for tonight is...
I'm sorry for the interruption. We had a little trouble with our evaluator making it. He's on his way.
Okay.
So what we're going to do instead is begin with our table topics.
Oh, great idea.
And Jean is going to be the table topics master and get us rolling.
I think
All right.
a couple of questions for table topics.
Then we will
Oh, did
move...
he leave them?
Yeah.
Perfect. I thought he took, sort of the Keystone Cop nature of everything, but, okay. I have a couple too. Oh. Okay. All right.
All right.
I'm more than ready, because I've
With
got
that,
something
then
here.
let's invite up Jean, our table topics master for tonight, to
Thank you.
discuss the rules.
All right. As you're aware, table topics is 1 to 2 minute impromptu speaking. And we would like to emphasize again that our theme tonight is challenging yourself. So all of the questions relate to that. And so I'd like to start with a volunteer. Anyone who wants to volunteer can do it. Looks like Veda's up. Okay, Veda. Veda, what is a personal challenge that you want to meet and accomplish in the next 12 months? And what will be the benefits for achieving that challenge?
Madam Topic Master, viewers at home, fellow Toastmasters. This is an entirely, perhaps the most important question of my entire life. For the next 12 months, I will figure out what I'm doing, who I am, where I'm going. My entire career path is laid bare upon the annals of history. For I will be deciding what to do with my life. The benefit, of course, is I may make more money. I may enjoy myself. I may avoid working altogether, in which case I'll have a lot of relaxation. I think the challenge sometimes is to know where you're going in life. Because I've done so many things, and I'm so good at so many things, that it's just so hard for me to choose. I think it's something in my Jyotish, or my astrology, or perhaps the luck of the draw, that I'm so multi-talented. That I just have so many options. So in the next 12 months, I'll be taking my electrical engineering degree, combining it with my real estate experience and career that I had in the past, along with my massage therapy. and my handyman skills, and rolling it all together, along with my caretaking ability of people in need, be rolling it all together in one exciting smorgasbord of life. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. Madam Toastmasters.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh like at you. I was laughing with you because it's not often that people get up and just say, I'm just so good at everything and I'm multi-talented and where do I start? So there was some humor there, but sincerely, if that's the case, that's the case, so. All right.
Challenges.
Yeah, yeah. All right, another volunteer? Get those juices kind of flowing a little bit. All right, Erin, it's up. Erin, tell us about a challenge that you faced in your past and how you handled it. What was happening, what did you do, and what did you learn? All right, yes.
Madam Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, one of the biggest challenges that I've had to overcome in the past year or so, I can't believe it's been that long, is coming to a new and foreign place to me. For those of you that don't know, I grew up in the northern Illinois area, generally large town of DeKalb. We lived out in the middle of nowhere, but still a pretty large community surrounding us with a lot of people that I knew since before I could even walk. And then when I went to university at the University of Illinois, and then graduated and got a job with John Deere, I moved over to the Quad Cities. Still pretty familiar territory with me, it's a new place, but still a lot of people there. So not as challenging for me to adapt to that type of lifestyle. But now, living in Fairfield, as much as I have grown to love this community, it was a big step for me. Like I said, I've grown up in relatively large communities in the past, and being in an area of 10,000 people and working in a place with 20,000 people is a little outside my comfort zone. With such a small community of people, particularly people that I can relate with as far as age goes, is a very big hurdle that my wife and I had to overcome. And getting used to this movement of transcendental meditation, understanding what exactly that is, and with my scientific-minded beliefs, trying to understand the more spiritual aspect of this type of movement that has completely encompassed a major portion of this town, and something that, while I was initially skeptical at first, I've grown to admire in a certain way because of my ability to be a little more open-minded towards it, but something that was certainly a challenge when I first moved here to understand.
Oh, don't leave the light on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You just have to go near the door. Okay, so, it's kind of a very, thank you, that was very interesting, very interesting. I'd like to, actually, I missed a couple of key sentences and I was wanting to hear that, but I will revisit it on the video. All right, another volunteer.
Two people. 2 or 3 people left.
I know.
Eruptions. I
Meeny,
can,
meeny,
I
miny.
can
Okay.
gather the,
Aaron, could you tell me?
Yeah.
Is Dan coming up?
Yes.
Yay, Dan, our president! Yay! Okay. Dan, what life lesson did you learn the hard way? Okay.
Madam Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters. I had an interesting experience some years ago with a very beloved dog that I had. His name was Toby. He was a Shetland sheepdog, a Sheltie. And when I first got him, I was kind of into the idea that, yeah, this is a sheepdog and he needs lots of exercise and he should get to run as much as he could. I wasn't so much into the idea that he should be on a leash, restricted. The difficult lesson that I learned was that if you give a dog like that enough freedom, he may run away. And he did it more than once. When he was little, it was kind of cute. You know, we'd be out, at the time we lived on a farm. It had been a horse farm, and we'd go tramping through all these woods. There was just like 30 acres. It was really great. But if he ever saw a deer, or smelled a deer, I guess, he was gone. Not a big dog, but you know, he'd be over the hill before before I knew what happened. And I'd go calling him, and there's I had no idea where he was. And a few hours later, I'd look out in the field next to the house, and he'd be down there, just hunkered down. Yeah, I know, I messed up. I did a bad thing. So it was cute in a way. But the difficult lesson that I learned finally was that maybe someday he's going to run away and get lost. And that's what happened. We went out on a day where it was snowing, and he went way beyond sight, and I think what happened was the snow melted and he lost all of his scent trail. He was lost for 3 days, and it was really quite a trauma for everybody involved. But he did come back. I learned an important lesson.
Thank you. All right. How are we doing, Mr. Toastmaster? How are we doing for time, since we've kind of flopped it around a little bit? Let's see, we normally would have
How much time do
We normally would have about 20 minutes.
We had
or
it
so.
scheduled 20 minutes, but we started almost 10 minutes late.
Okay, so we really should probably keep moving then, probably, huh? Is that, okay.
We could do one more if anybody's,
Okay,
wanting to.
okay.
One more. What are we doing? I'm sorry. Just.
We're doing table topics.
Oh,
I used one of yours. Oh, yeah, that one up.
oh, these things I mean.
Yeah, I did, I used one, so let me see.
Okay, all right,
Okay,
sure.
okay, so actually, I'm gonna use one that I had, so, and I don't have my paper, but anyway. Rudaifa,
Yes.
history has many examples of individuals who have met and overcome challenges. Tell us about an individual historical figure that you admire who met and overcame a challenge.
Again?
Yeah, you want me to say it again?
Yeah.
Okay. History has many examples of individuals who have met and overcome challenges. Tell us about an individual that you admire who met and overcame a challenge. Okay, all right.
Excuse me. Madam Table Topics. Master, fellow Toastmaster, viewers at home. I had to dig in the whole history to find someone. Probably I will talk about Ortogolo. This is the founder of the Ottoman Empire. This guy was born in the Middle Asia. It's around Mongolia, between Mongolia and Uzbekistan, this area. He belongs to the Turks tribes. Turks are not just what we know today are Turkey, but actually there are 12 tribes from Mongolia till the east of Anatolia today. This guy had his tribes just fighting with each other all the time. They did not do any achievement in their lives except just fighting each other until he came and decided to change everything. He started with his own tribe, reunion his close relatives together and started the core of the empire. He did not give up for the rest of his life until he moved, or he gave to his son Ottoman, who's the empire name came from his son name Ottoman. He gave him that core of the empire that lived for about 800 years, and it was the biggest empire for the rest of that 800 years, from about 1200 or the 12th century until the end of 19th century.
Thank you. Could you please say the name of that gentleman? I didn't quite catch it.
Ortogol.
Ortolol?
Ortogol.
Ortolol.
Yeah, Ortogol.
Ortolol.
Yes.
Okay. I hadn't heard that. That's very interesting.
That was Autoturk, but somebody else.
Is it the same as Ataturk, which is?
No, Ataturk is the last one.
Someone
Last
else.
one, he's-
Someone
Yeah,
else.
Ataturk is the one who inherited the empire, and he
I imagine.
founded the Turkey country,
Okay.
which is small based on the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that was interesting.
Yeah, that empire was in Asia, Europe, and Africa.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was very very big.
It's very, very big. Okay. Alrighty, well, that's it for our table topics. Mr. Timer, would you tell us who qualified?
The qualifiers were everybody, Veda, Aaron, Dan, and Hudaifa.
Okay. If you could put your little notation, find a piece of paper and put a TT on there and the name, person that you felt was good. All right, well, let's welcome up our table topics evaluator for the evening, Carmen. And Carmen, I think we could do a regular evaluator, section, so that would be 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, all right, yay, Carmen.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, and viewers at home. I'm going to evaluate the table topics speakers for today. I'm going to start with Veda. he greets the audience. It was a very good use of language, good use of hand movements around the stage. It was a nice anecdote and to see that he considered himself a very talented and really challenged individual that nobody can stop it. A little bit of a suggestion could be you tend to just speak, you are just kind of stuck here, but you can use the stage a little bit more while you are speaking about yourself. My next evaluation is for Aaron. You were greeting the audience. I really like the sound and the voice. How do you modulate your speech? I like the story that you chose because it was kind of obvious for the people that we know you that you were moving out of town. But my suggestion would be use of the stage. You use your hands very well, but the use of the stage, I know that it's an impromptu speech, but for some reason, it's almost for all of us, we forgot that we can use this space. And then you greet the audience. I really like the story of Toby the dog. It was very good. Your pitch was very good. I really like the way that you showed to us the story because as you were using the stage and you were using your hands. I don't think I have a suggestion, maybe a little bit more of your pitch and voice, a little bit more and would be perfect. And Hudaifa, you greet, good use of the stage, good use of geography. It was a nice story. I followed out, you started, I followed, but then I was hoping for a conclusion, but I think you didn't have time to finish, but it was really good. Thank you.
Why don't we even have the Toastmaster come up so we can introduce our speaker.
Now, I'd like to go back a little bit to our speech for tonight, which is by Jyoti Raj. It will be his icebreaker. First, I'd like to call up, or Art, you can stay where you're seated. Art, I'd like to ask that Art read the objectives for tonight's speech.
Jyoti Raj. Jyoti Raj's objectives for giving this icebreaker is for him to introduce himself to us and learn the basic structure of a public speech. I'm reading off the Pathways Evaluation Form notes with which I am at this moment becoming familiar for the first time.
All right, thank you, Art. Next, I'd like to call up Jyoti Raj for his speech. Jyoti Raj Adhikari has been a member of the Golden Speakers Club for the last 10 years. He's living in Fairfield with his wife and 2 children. Jyoti works with the French Sports & Co. as a CPA. He's doing his icebreaker speech from the Pathway Dynamic Leadership.
Fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home. This is my first speech from Dynamic Leadership and it's icebreaker. I'm here about to introduce myself. My speech will be of 3 parts. One, first I introduce myself. The second, I'll tell you about my breakthrough in public speaking. And third, I will tell you about what I learned from that breakthrough. My name is Jyotiraj Adhikari, and I was born in Nepal and moved to India when I was 14, where my grandfather lived. My grandfather lived in India for his whole life. And I finished my schooling there and went to college in India. After college, I finished my chartered accounting course that is equivalent to CPA in US and worked in India, a place called Chennai in southern part of India for 6 years as a certified chartered accountant. And then I went back to Nepal. I got married and worked there for 2 years and came to US. And I did my MBA from Maharishi University of Management and did my CPA from American Institute of Certified Public Accountant. And I have been practicing accounting from last 11 years in the state of Iowa. I'm married and I have 2 children, a daughter, 13 years old, and I recently have a son, he is 2 months old. My daughter's name is Gitika and my son's name is Devon. If you say in English, it will be Devon, D-E-V-A. When I was in college, there was a program in which I was in organizing committee. And the last day, the program was tomorrow, the day after, and the last day in the evening we had the final meeting, and we came to know that the host would not be able to host the program. And everybody was looking at me because I was the only one in the organizing committee who didn't have any role in the program. So everybody asked me, you should be the host. I said, no, I have never done this before. This is my first time if I do this. I don't know anything. They said, no problem, we are there. We'll give you a script. Go stand there and call people up on the stage. That's all you do. Anyway, I went home and collected some jokes, anecdotes, some stories, some poem, and I went up on the stage, and as soon as on the stage, I knew that it's not it. The program is for 4 hours. I filled up all the gaps. I ran out of all the jokes and everything within half an hour. I'm blabbering something, saying something, but I thought, okay, I'll ask from the audience. I asked each and every audience, the students, there's 4,000 students in front of me. I asked everybody, give me stories, give me poem, give me anecdotes, give me anything you have. They started giving me, I paraphrased it, I revised it, I made it in all my own words and started saying. I did it 5 hours, came home, slept, I did it. I did it. I forgot it. After 1 month, somebody from science faculty came and said, you have to host our program also. You did a good job. I did it. I did another one. I did another one. At the end of 3rd year, I've already done more than 50 programs, hosted more than 50 programs, college. Not only students program, but teachers program, even in local programs there in India. And after my 3rd year, some of the students' union people came to me and said, you are standing for the election for General Secretary of the college. I said, no, I am not in the politics. And said, you have to. I said, if you want to lose, that's fine. And there, I gave the nomination, election was pretty fine. I didn't even go to vote myself, I won. And I became the General Secretary of the college union, that is the highest position of the students' union. And I served college for 1 year. And what I learned from this is the public speaking or speaking in front of audience is an art, And the content is very relevant. But the main important thing is if you can involve your audience into your speech and make people feel that you are not only the audience, you are not only listening to me, you are speaking through me. And this event is not me, this event is we all. If you can do that, you will not only be a good speaker, but you will be a good leader in the eyes of your audience. Thank you.
Thank you for that speech. Mr. Timer, would you please give us 2 minutes to evaluate Jyoti's speech? this point in time, I'd like to ask for Art Atkinson to give his evaluation of Jyoti's icebreaker speech.
Let me share with you that I was coming to this evaluation with some trepidation. I have in the past evaluated speeches of Jyoti Rashke on the basis of having barely understood what he said because of the accent. And I am pleased to say this was a brilliant exposition in English. I understood every word that you used. You chose your words carefully. There was very, very slight improvements in English grammar that I would suggest. You missed an indefinite article in one place. You said something about the audience, and you didn't say an audience. To engage audience, I think, is maybe the phrase you used. What really stuck out for me about this icebreaker was that it was a fluid, completely comfortable talk by an experienced speaker. And it was a pleasure to watch everything that you were doing. Number one, your hand gestures were big, they were effective, they were varied. Your eye contact was very effective and you engaged the audience that way. Vocal variety was there to a degree. The one part of the scale that you didn't touch very much in was using your voice softly. But you were speaking to fill a room 3 times this size. And you certainly could have had we been in such a room. You demonstrated an awareness of your audience. In fact, the whole premise of your talk was your breakthrough discovery of how to effectively engage your audience. And the only thing that I can find to suggest that you might want to consider doing in another delivery of this talk would be to illustrate with an audience that you're explaining to illustrate how you pull material out of an audience to incorporate and create that we are speaking phenomenon that you spoke of so well. With that, I'll hand back to the general evaluator. Thank you very much for this talk. It was a pleasure to be your evaluator.
Whoever gave it to him should take it.
That's fine.
You wanna call it general evaluator?
And also it's out of order, but it's not
I need to
unusual.
ask who qualified. Is that what you're getting at?
I'm saying that you gave him,
Yes.
so. go
I
ahead.
apologize for missing your section.
No, it wasn't, it's
What's
not,
that?
I think I was the one that got you
Oh.
out. We can get back on track.
I'll comment on that. It's actually good.
So I guess I should ask, first of all, did Jyoti's speech qualify?
Jyoti's speech qualified.
Okay.
And did the evaluation qualify?
And did the evaluation qualify?
Both Carmen and Art qualified.
Oh, holy cow. We're breaking patterns.
Yeah, trepidation, you ought to do it more often.
And vote for
What's that?
Vote for best evaluator.
Oh, yes. At this time, we can vote for the best evaluator of this evening's meeting. At this point in time, I'd like to call up our general evaluator, who for tonight is Beta Royale.
Good handshake. Thank you.
I'm trying to get better.
Was it easier?
It was firm but well placed, so that it would impact bones that don't break my hand. So it was quite good.
It didn't have that little nasty kind of like spiral thing that he does.
The general evaluator has spoken. Order. Order. Good evening. So as general evaluator, I will be calling for the reports. Is there anything else I've missed before the reports? With that, I will call for the reports. The timer's report.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters. Our speech by Jyoti Raj was 4 minutes 53, and table topics Veda did 2 minutes 5, Aaron 2:21, Dan 2:21, Hudaifa 2:16. Our evaluators, Carmen was 3:05, and Art was 2:31.
Thank you, Dan, who does double, sometimes triple, and sometimes quadruple duty, including his presidency. The next report will be our grammarian, Mr. Hudaifa Shadnawi.
Sorry.
It's very short. You don't have to go. Nobody used the word of the
It's a
day.
great word, though, it's a great word.
Yeah, nobody used it.
No, it's not your fault.
Did you use it? No. I use it here. That's enough. And also I missed one of the table topic speeches and my speech, so I had only one good usage for Jyoti when he said public speech or public speaking is an art. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Hudaifa. The next. Okay, so we have heard from our grammarian, but our all-important odd counter is now Jyoti Raj.
We are very clean today. So Aaron, 2 Jean, couple of and. Veda, there's some, it's not tongue click, but I don't know, it's a counting.
Smacking.
Yeah. Is that
You can
a
add it to
filler
the
word or
list.
not? But
You can add it to the list.
Yeah.
Dan, there are numerous ands. So the sentence was very long, and the dog, and. So there was so many ands, I stopped counting. Hudaifa, couple of arms. Art, 2 small arms. That is very good.
Now, for the moment we've all been waiting for, the impromptu joke of the evening, which will be given by none other than our president, Mr. Dan Craig.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters. It was a beautiful day. A priest was taking a walk through a nice neighborhood. Across the way at a big house, he noticed a very small child on the porch of the house, reaching up, trying to touch the doorbell. Couldn't make it. The priest crossed over and said, "Can I help you? Do you need a little bit of help?" And the little guy said, I can't reach the bell. And so the priest said, "Okay, I'll do it for you." He pressed the bell and he said, "Now what happens, my little man?" And the kid said, "Now we run."
Okay, so
That's a great one.
Dan's gonna run away from
Priest
is in
trouble.
That's a great one.
Great, thank you, Dan. Now, in conclusion, I am going to comment on the meeting and evaluate the evaluators. Because of the nature of the excellent, stupendous, extremely accurate and well done evaluations, it is a very big challenge. And seems like I would have to be sedulous to really do a good job of the evaluation. Carmen, for each person, gave the finer points, gave very salient points about what people had done right. And she carefully gave a suggestion. My suggestions for her would be, because we had so few topics tonight, she could have possibly given more points and maybe even more suggestions because we had so few. Because we had so few, she would have had enough time to give us a little more in-depth report. But overall, great job, Carmen. Thank you so much. Art is the master with his barely knowing that he was going to give an evaluation, handed the forms at the last moment. He just breezed through it. He had a little bit of extra time to help, but it's like Art's been doing this for 1,000,000 years.
Yes.
He told us
12 minutes?
Somewhere between 12 and a million.
between 12 and 1,000,000 years. He has the advantage of having seen Jyoti Raj speak in the past, and so he was able to really lift Jyoti up and tell him what a great job he was doing, that he's had a huge improvement, and he was able to give very detailed reasons why you did such a great job. He got points in there that I wasn't able to get in evaluating you. So Art is a wonderful, wonderful evaluator. I've been actually most impressed with the evaluations of both Art and Jyoti Raj. I'm not sure I can come up with a suggestion for you at the moment because you did such a great job, but if I think of one, I'll give it to you afterwards. The next point of order is simply to evaluate the meeting. We had a lot of challenges tonight. I think we can be forgiven because, especially with Jean's mastery, we bounced back and she helped guide the meeting. We did something which is actually often done, is switch table topics to the first portion of the meeting. It's not something we usually do here, but it was a great solution. The other thing is the agenda has put me in a position which actually I encourage, that I was not brought up to introduce the evaluators. I feel the general evaluator has been given too much of the meeting. At this point, I think to cut it back a little bit was actually very helpful for the meeting, and it allowed for a smoother flow of the meeting. Originally, the general evaluator did not have the job of evaluating evaluators, so I think that job is getting a little bit overloaded with that additional responsibility. With that, I will hand the control of the meeting back to the Toastmaster, Mr. Aaron.
Thank you, Veda. Now the moment we've all been waiting for, the awards for tonight's meeting. First, for our table topics, there was actually a three-way tie, believe it or not. A tie between Dan, Veda, and myself, each getting 2 votes for best table topic. So I don't know how that works.
Throw
We
it up.
only give one ribbon,
One ribbon.
and so you can either be
Cut it
solid
up.
and you cut it in 3. Or you
Could share it,
Share
like next for a week,
You-
when you have to,
you you decide, usually with the person who's doing you either.
He's conflicted out though, because he was part of.
I know.
So give
that
it to your-
maybe- Or it could be you put all three, one of each, the three,
Put their
and
names in a hat.
shuffle it up.
And then
Oh. Put
okay,
your names,
Pull it
put their
out.
names in a hat and draw one out.
yeah, let's do this.
Or throw them up in the air, and whichever one doesn't come down, they get the prize.
Who's else?
Who, three? You, Dan,
Me, Dan, and Veda.
okay.
And was there anybody who didn't vote?
Well, some people weren't there
Well,
for
If
everything.
you don't vote, you don't count. That's just the way it goes.
So,
Okay.
Get out the vote.
You
Okay,
didn't vote, right?
you pick
No,
one.
you didn't.
Okay, pick one from here inside.
I'm biased.
well, you open it so I can
Now there will be two.
No,
Pick one.
Aaron.
Aaron.
I
Thank
believe
you.
Aaron deserved it.
Thank you, thank you.
I believe he deserved it.
And now, for our best evaluator of tonight, Art.
I can suggest an improvement. Given that I was at 2:30, I had time left over, and in keeping with the recommendation you made on Carmen, I could have added something to my evaluation and got closer to 3.
Mhm.
Always looking for
And
perfection.
Tim say, that's not a good idea for
Yeah.
Atkinson.
Exactly. Art's total tendency for his 12+ million years, whatever that is to go over time.
Oh,
So this is great that he was under time by that much. So Art, you got some room, but like, don't let it get to your head.
Keep them for next time.
Yeah.
Okay, I need a second to announce that I have name badges for all the officers in this briefcase in all the pockets. I would like to distribute them tonight,
Mhm.
so all the officers, please come see me.
Which is great service.
excellent.
Thank you.
I'd like to call the meeting back over to our president, Dan Craig. for closing us out.
So where is my award? No award for speaker? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Do we do that if there's only one speaker?
Yeah, we do.
Oh,
Yeah.
Let's hear it for Jyoti Raj.
I wasn't sure, sorry about
He challenges himself.
Yeah, as long as he's in
And give him
time.
another icebreaker ribbon.
Yeah,
No, that's
exactly.
good. No, that's fine, that's fine. I'm bringing my all ribbon back. I have a lot of ribbons, so.
Half at the
This
hole.
is a new
Very good, congratulations.
1 minute.
So another good meeting, we have a few items of business
I'm
tonight.
bringing my bag.
A few items of business tonight. The first thing is not planned exactly, but we had all of our officers go to a TLI, a Toastmasters Leadership Institute in Washington on Saturday for our first training of the year. Would any officer like to give an impression of it for a minute, minute and a half? Any, I guess.
Who all went? Maybe you raise your
I don't
hands.
have any more rooms left.
Okay, Aaron went.
Oh, yeah, I went.
Okay.
What is the
Dan
ribbon
went.
about?
Hmm?
What is it?
Officer training, yeah. Carmen, you want to give us just real quick your impression of the training?
Sure.
This training was different from the one that I had in California. I didn't expect it was too long. This one was 3 to 4 hours maybe. The one in California was very specific to your job duty. It was no more than 1 hour. So it was really well organized. There was a speech for every duty. There was PowerPoints. they explain of what to do, and then there was groups that you can just sit with other officers from other clubs, and it was a good experience actually. There was breakfast, drinks, no alcohol. I really like it because it was well organized, but what I like it most is at the end, all the presidents for the distinguished clubs, they make a speech about how did they feel and how did they became to have that distinguished. And I really like your speech, Jean, about what your job in jail. I think everyone was kind of surprised and at the same time kind of interested in what she was doing, because she makes such a great job with prisoners, and they have a distinguished this year, right? They have a
President's distinguished.
President's distinguished because Jean is training them.
They do the work.
They did the work, and it was pleasant to hear that. That's my impression.
Thank you, Carmen. As we go along in our Toastmaster year, our individuals are working towards awards, and in doing that, they earn awards for their club. We're speaking about being President's Distinguished. We try for that every year, to earn 9 or 10 of those goals that Toastmasters sets as being the hallmark of an excellent club. We've got a few education awards that we've gotten certificates for, and I'm going to hand those out at this point. The first one is Jean's, earning another competent communicator this year. Jean, please come up. This is the old program, giving 10 speeches out of the Competent Communication Manual. It's maybe your third one that you've earned.
No, second.
Second.
Oh, wow.
Stay here, because you're going to give this one to me.
Oh, yeah, all right, okay.
You can't do it.
So everything that Dan said, actually, this is on the leadership track. So Dan has completed, and this was for last year, so this is on our credit for our Distinguished Club program that ended in June 30th, but he got an advanced leader bronze, which is the old system has, that we're gonna be losing, has a communication track and a leadership track. So this is on the leadership track. He had completed the competent leader, and now he's an advanced leader bronze. Yes. So
Thank you. And then the last certificate we need to present is going to go to Carmen for achieving her level 1 in pathways. This will be the first one in our club that we've presented. And it just turns out that Jean and I don't have a functioning color printer, so it's beautiful shades of gray. Please welcome Carmen.
If you want a color,
I can color it.
I have a color. I have a color printer.
Okay.
Yes.
When do you get it? I mean, after 4th speech?
There are 4 projects in level 1. Yeah. So you too will earn one.
I will.
How many people here have given at least their icebreaker in their pathways? And Jochi did
Yeah,
tonight. So just about all of us. Great. We're gonna rack up some level 1s this year and some level 2s, we hope. Jean, did you have something?
I had a question. So I am looking for a color printer. I mean, if we have lots of certificates, great. But, and Art, I sent one to you and you probably just didn't see it. I just, this afternoon I said, hey, any chance you could print this in color, her certificate? Because I knew you were working on badges and stuff.
It's okay.
No, it looked pretty.
Better, print
It
color.
looked pretty with the color, yeah. So you have a color printer
I'm in my studio,
in your studio?
right there in the corner, where Windows
So,
You could bring it in, and we could print it out.
Like-
Is it a JPEG file or what is it?
It's a PDF,
Oh, it's
PDF.
PDF file, yes.
so you could email it, actually.
Yeah,
I could email it, and can you,
I can print it out.
from your email, okay?
Okay, great. We'll
Yeah,
keep
this'll
that
be
in
a
mind.
I
It'll
just,
be an
I would
attach-
like to have a
It'll be an
nice,
attachment, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's an
some sort of-
attachment, I'd like
We'll
to
keep
have
that in
an
mind for
avenue
the
for that.
future.
Mhm.
Do we have any other business for this evening before we finish our meeting tonight?
Well, I have a
Art?
point that's not exactly business, but it carries on what you just were talking about, icebreakers and pathways.
Uh-huh.
I have heard one other icebreaker from Jyoti Raj given some time ago in the club. And in that icebreaker, he just recounted his history of growing up in Nepal.
Right.
The contrast between that icebreaker and this one fits with dynamic leadership as a track incredibly well. And I want to know whether that was intentional on your part, that you chose a subject matter which would be of interest to and relevant to anything that a dynamic leader was attempting to accomplish.
No, not specific.
Yeah, the
Well,
story,
that
the
story
story
came in my-
dovetailed very well
Yeah.
with your track.
Because when I selected it, it gave me the dynamic leadership from the the pathway. So the story is not chosen based on
This happened,
it happened.
this happened.
It just happened.
A fortunate happenstance. Okay, last thing.
Okay, as the Vice President of Education, I am ready for speeches. So I'd like a speech for next week. Anyone's?
Okay, I'm gonna end the meeting and then we're going to deal with that point after.
Okay,
Is there any time for one final?
Okay,
So one of the people that came to us at our art walk a couple weeks ago was Josh Larrabee. I don't know if anyone knows.
Yeah, I know Josh.
Yeah.
So he sent me an email. Let me read it. He sent this to me at 4:30 this evening. He says, "Thank you for connecting with me," because I sent emails out to everyone that
Great.
connected with us at the art walk.
Good,
He
good.
said, "I'm proud of the work that Toastmasters leads. It changes people's lives. I've given joining some thought. At the present time, I'm not able to join. I'm overcommitted right now. But I would be interested in revisiting the opportunity in 12 months. If it's possible, could you put me on a list to revisit with in 12 months?" So,
put that in
is
your
that something,
reminder program, your calendar.
that's just something that we'd like to
Yeah, you have
revisit with him in 12 months?
yeah, save it to the next officers. Yeah, or who will be the vice president?
He runs.
But
After
good,
you-
good
you
follow-up.
just-
That
yes.
was,
Yeah.
it's great to engage the people that left their
Yeah,
names.
he runs the,
no, that's
Yeah, I'm
great.
I'm going to end the meeting.
I'm with him in Rotary Island.
Thank you, everyone. And
Good
please,
night.
please, everyone, help clean up.